Gloria Lynne Henry.
Yes, darling.
Woo-hoo. In the flesh.
I am, right?
Oh, I'm sorry for how hot it is up here, but so glad to see you, and so glad that you are part of the Women of Phantasm. I mean, I cannot even imagine doing this without you. So
Well,
I'm
thank
so
you for
really
having
glad
me.
that you found the email. That
Right. In my old email, I was like, "What is this, Gigi?"
I only know one.
Right.
So you were born in Michigan?
I was born in Detroit, Michigan.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tell us what that was like in the 60s, 70s, 80s growing up.
That's a big span. In the 70s, it was great. I mean, we used to be able to leave our doors open. And
Sweet.
I know, right? My mom used to come home at 12 midnight from working at Chrysler, and I would be napping on the front porch.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
I really appreciated that childhood.
Yeah.
You know, where you could literally stay outside, and they say, don't stay out until the
Right.
stay out until the
Stay
street lights
out,
come on.
yeah.
And
It's freedom.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, to live your life. You know, it's great.
exactly.
Yeah.
But then as you get older, and the neighborhood disintegrated,
Changes, yeah.
and that was kind of sad. You know, so
Yeah.
we moved out. But yeah, I loved it. I loved going to high school there, and I went to Dinah Ross's high school at Castile.
Oh, very
hey.
cool.
Yes. It was a special high school. You had to write an essay, and you had to have good grades and everything, because our neighborhood high school was getting shot up,
Oh.
you know, by that
geez.
time.
Wow.
But-
We're so glad that you changed schools.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Really.
Um,
Yeah.
So what kind of a neighborhood was it like?
It was the kind of neighborhood, literally, if you got in trouble at school and Miss Shelton on the corner, she would find out, and by the time you got home,
Your mama knew.
it was just like
And
that.
had the switch ready?
Right, yeah. Well, I did. And she'd make it get our own switch. That's how it was.
That's what my
you know?
mama did.
Right. So she
I-
said, don't bring back a big, thick one. I want a nice,
Nice
thin one.
little kid one.
Right, you know?
One that'll
wanna-
really sting.
I want to
Exactly.
see those
Yeah,
welts come
baby.
up, baby.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mine was off of a chinaberry tree. So I was
Oh.
like, arr.
Oh,
So
that
yeah,
means
that nice little sting, extra little sting there
Okay.
from the chinaberries, you know. So yeah. So in school, like junior high, high school, were you a standalone kid? Were you a popular kid? How did that work out?
I was very, in my opinion, very unattractive. But
Aw.
I knew that I always wanted to be an actress.
Yeah.
You know, ever since I watched Nichelle
Nichols.
Nichols on Star Trek,
Mhm.
and I thought there are black people in the future.
Yeah.
And her hair is coiffed, and she has a figure, and you know, and
Yeah.
and she got this little
And
bling in
all
her
the-
ear.
all the men love her.
Right, they do. You know.
She had their first black, interracial kiss.
with Captain Kirk.
With Captain
exactly.
Kirk,
I mean, he was
Shatner.
forced to
Yeah.
do it. You know.
Funny thing is,
yeah, but
oh no,
Yeah.
oh no, honey, no, there was no forcing on
no,
that.
well, the alien made him. Remember,
Yeah.
he was hesitant. You know.
Mid-
Yeah.
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 the
But I'm sure-
character, not the actor.
Exactly. You know.
They had a fun name for Bill back then. They called him the Tongue.
Oh my.
Hey.
Okay. You can leave it at that.
And you were initiated back then.
Okay.
And so of course she'd been on the show for a while. You know, when this
Right.
episode came up, it's just like, oh, okay, well, I could do this. And she says that she didn't really think about the historic value until after the fact.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it was like a big deal, and she's like, oh, you know what? It is kind of a big deal.
Yeah. You don't know it when you're in it.
Yeah.
You know, you can ponder it later.
Yeah.
But seeing her, I thought, this is what I want to do.
And then she's intelligent. You
Yeah,
know? She's
yeah.
just really smart, and she's not just some throwaway character. You know?
Exactly. She's very crucial to the plot.
And you know, as was Rocky. I mean, oh my God, you survived a horror film.
I know. I live.
Hey.
First black female heroine not to die in a horror sci-fi.
Ah.
So yeah.
It really worked
It
too.
did.
I got to
it
tell
did.
you,
It did.
I mean,
awesome.
you know, when we were talking with you and Sarah, I mean, we were talking about the whole training thing, and that you were already into the taekwondo.
Taekwondo.
Yeah. I was bullied a lot, and
Oh, no.
so I had a bestie that taught me. He taught me taekwondo, jiu-jitsu, and
Okay.
I never could get the nunchucks down.
Yeah.
I bruised
finger thing.
very easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bruised a lot too, training. I was like, ow,
I
ow.
almost, I
ow.
almost knocked myself
how
out
about
one
in the
time.
face?
Right,
You
yeah.
know?
Okay, I think you might have hit you a couple
those
times.
things
I
always
went to
scared
spin
the
it
hell out of
around
me.
once, and it smacked me right in the forehead. And it's like, my teacher was like, "Oh, where'd that come from?" No, it's not what you think.
But I wanted to ask you, Reggie, did you
Yeah.
have any gun training before?
I was in the Army.
He was in
Okay.
the Army
So
in
I
Vietnam.
had pretty good gun training. I had an AR-15 and like that.
Okay.
And went to Vietnam, so I had
Right.
to be able to defend myself.
There you go.
Yeah. So
That would explain it. They wouldn't give me the gun. They said no, nunchucks. But I was
really.
like, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Don was very specific about that. You do not get a gun. I'm like, okay.
Come on, a black woman with a gun, what could go wrong?
Okay. You touched my hair. What? Sorry.
You said what?
That is funny.
Don't you be doing no mama jokes.
Okay.
I'll take care of you. Who was the most influential woman in your life growing up?
I know it's, people always say their mom, but my mom really was. She was a hard worker. She worked at Chrysler for 30 years.
Wow.
What
What did she do there?
She
Was
worked
she on the line?
She
or-
worked on the line at first, and then she moved up to postal, which means that she had a better job, cushier job, got paid more money. And my family literally migrated from Georgia, a lot of my cousins and everything, because there was work in the big three in
Right.
Detroit. So
Whereabouts in Georgia?
Valdosta, Georgia, like deep south where the sand is red.
Yeah.
You
I
know.
spent time in Augusta.
Okay, all
yeah,
right.
yeah. When I was in the military.
Okay, it's hot down there.
Oh yeah.
Yep, hot Atlanta.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so she was very influential because my mom and father were never married, but my father was always around, and she just kept us in line when my dad wasn't there. And another person was my second grade teacher, Mrs. Davis. She used to come to school beat every day, and that means her face was beat and her eyelashes, and that's in the 60s and maybe early 70s. And she had this wig on that was just perfectly coiffed every day, and she would talk really slow like this, and she said, "Gloria, I'm going to call your father because you're misbehaving." And I would go, "No!"
And the F stuff of your mind shifts.
What a character.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
She just looked beautiful every day at school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Let's see. Can you share with us about who Boris Ekelchik?
Ekelchik. It's actually pronounced Yekelchik,
Yekelchik.
but I said I will not be called Gloria Yekelchik. So I kind of started pronouncing it Ekelchik, and people still have a hard time. So I said, say the E first, and everything else follows.
Yes.
And he came into my life when I left California for the first go around, and I had already done Phantasm, and I went back to Michigan, and I just really was tired of dating the same old Hollywood guy.
Yeah.
And I literally prayed in Arizona. I was with my best friend in Arizona, and I said, God, bring me somebody that I need, not somebody that I want.
Right.
Because you want a lot in Hollywood.
I can dig it.
They're also pretty, and they take longer than I do in the mirror. And
I used to have a standing rule about dating. I never went to bed with a man that had a better body than I did.
Okay.
Because they
that works.
take up all the mirror time.
They do. They really do. They really do. And
That's why I'm so hot.
You're killing me. And he was not the type of guy that I would date. First of all, he was Russian, and I met him at this.
So he was hard to keep up with.
I couldn't understand his accent. But he saw me in a restaurant, and I was actually on a date with my accountant in Michigan.
Wow.
And he was
What a
very,
trip.
charming, and he had a shot of vodka at the bar, and I was like, "What is that?" He said, "Vodka." And I was like, "Okay, I'll try it." And I'm with my date, and he asked me to dance, and he asked me to dance three times, and I said no twice. I'm sorry, no, that's wrong. He asked me to dance 3 times, and I said yes twice. The third time I said, okay, now,
I'm just ignoring my date.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
wasn't a dancer,
Yeah,
so, and we just started dating in Michigan. And when I moved to New York, he followed me, and he was just really loving and kind and attentive, and you know, he took me places, and he was interested in my career. And he helped me because he was computer genius, you know. He helped me with the internet and learning how to do my own headshots. And he literally knew where the Hollywood was going before
it went.
Yeah, exactly. When it came to the internet and
Ahead
headshots.
of the game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know. So I appreciated that. And long story short, we dated for almost 5 years, and he went to Israel one time, and he came back. He was visiting his sister, and he came back, and he wanted to revisit his spirituality in Judaism. And I think by helping him do that, because I was a Christian, I said, hey, we can do that, you know, Torah, Bible, hey, you know, same book. I learned more by going to a synagogue in all my years of Sunday school and learning with the rabbi and the differences and family between Christianity and Judaism, how the woman is so important in Judaism, and who doesn't like to be most important?
Hey.
And I converted to Judaism, and not because of Boris, but he was the catalyst
Sure.
for me to do that.
Well, whatever way, it doesn't matter how you get to the path as long as you get on the path. Right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So-
And so I appreciate him for that to this day, and I think I'm a better person because now I've really found my path. I just wasn't born into it, or my mom made me, you know, go. This is what I chose to do.
Yeah, it has to be you.
Right.
You know, it has to come from here.
Exactly.
Your I am presence.
So was it a culture shock moving from Michigan to California?
Oh, yeah. Okay. First of all, a lot less black people, more Thai food than I never even had Thai food before. And that barbecue chicken, honey, let me tell
Oh, I'll tell you what.
I think I gained 10 pounds the first 3 months I was in LA. And the people here were so beautiful. Men and women. It's just like, they glowed, you know. And that was probably the biggest culture shock for me. Yeah.
What way?
Because it's all about surface.
Yeah.
And I wasn't
superficial.
right. And okay, I don't want to say it's all about it, but it's a big part.
It's a lot of it.
Yeah, right. You know, and that's not how I was raised. And my friends always told me, just make sure you keep a good group of people around you that are like family that you can trust, that will always tell you the truth.
Yeah.
And sometimes I strayed from the path.
Yeah.
But they will always snatch me back.
And truth puts you in touch with you.
Exactly.
Your real you.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know.
You have a
Beautiful.
Bachelor of Fine Arts from Wayne University, right?
Yes. Yes.
How is college life for you?
Honey, I love college. Okay, so I mean, between the parties and, you know, when you go to class and you do study.
Oh, sure.
And a lot of my studying was Shakespeare. I had a really good background in Shakespeare, and I learned how to build a set. I know how to do makeup, you know, and I got to perform a lot of times on the set, and it was really awe-inspiring for me, because you just never know what you're going to learn. And people who come to college, I just feel they're the cream of the crop from wherever they are.
Yeah.
And they're all there for one common goal.
Right.
To get better at whatever they want to.
Right. That's great. What was the one thing that university didn't teach you but you felt like they should have?
They did not teach me that I would be hard pressed to get a role because I was black. So I got a lot of hookers and hoes. And even with my Shakespeare background, you know.
It's like, don't you know Othello? Come on.
I mean, I was even told at one audition that I wasn't black enough. And they didn't know that I knew.
I've heard that before.
Right,
brother.
you know?
Yeah.
You've heard that?
Yeah, well, you know, I happen to be standing there listening.
Right,
you know.
Right.
But I've heard that
yeah,
before. I've
and
heard
it's
that
hard.
argument.
And I wasn't ghetto enough. I go, I'm sorry, I'm from Detroit, but yo, what's up, dog? And when we talk like this, peace out, you know. I'm gonna kick your motherfucking ass. But that's not
Word.
that's not me.
Preach,
No,
baby.
but that's for the audition if you're
Right,
gonna
exactly. But
play
my-
that
right.
character.
But my voice is not. It doesn't suit itself. It doesn't lend itself for that kind of
Right.
dialogue.
Right.
You know.
I mean, yeah, I noticed like just when you went into character, I mean, you had to lower the
Right,
octave.
right.
Yeah.
You know.
So yeah, I can see that. I can see that. What's the most influential book you've ever read and why?
I don't do a lot of reading, I'm going to be honest, but I do read to my son. I've read every day of his life. We read to him at night. We pointed to the words. That's why he's such
Oh, that's great.
a voracious reader. I mean, he was reading 3 to 4 levels above everybody else, you know.
Yeah.
But the most recent book was Make Your Bed, and it is by a Navy SEAL admiral, and it has this philosophy of how you should live your life. And the first one,
Make your bed.
Yeah,
I
make
like
your
that.
bed, yeah.
How you should live your life.
right.
Wow.
And the first thing you do in the morning is you should make your
your
bed,
bed.
because it's a finished task.
Right.
Right.
And once you finish that task, you find another little task.
You're ready for the next task.
Right,
Yeah,
and if you
yeah.
keep doing little tasks throughout the day, you will accomplish so much.
Yeah.
And if you can't do the simplest task as making your bed, then how are you going to handle the bigger things?
That's right.
Yeah,
You're right.
I
Absolutely.
completely understand that because I'm actually updating a book that I wrote a long time ago, and now I'm getting ready to publish. I'm hoping. It's called Career Steps, and it's a personal marketing program.
Okay.
And that's I started it when I first came out of the Army, and I used it. I realized then that a lot of actors liked it. I actually wrote it because military needed a transition. Nobody teaches. That's one of those things that Army don't teach you.
Right, right.
They don't teach you that what the culture shock is from going from a 3 hots and a cot routine to where they teach you every single step is governed, by your military service.
Right, right.
And then suddenly you're in civilian life, and it just goes, bam. I mean, you
Such a drastic change.
One day you are in uniform and reporting for reveille and mustering, and the next day you're not. And it's just this. It's like, whoa, wait, what happened?
Yeah, it
And
actually took me a few months to
they don't acclimate
get
you.
used to being back.
Exactly.
With a social life.
Yeah.
It was
So
a trip.
so I started.
Literally.
I wrote Career Steps aimed for that, but then what I found out was that it also was appealing to realtors, it was appealing to actors, a lot of lawyers took the class and everything. And so over the years, though, I have stayed true to those principles of marketing that I put in there about, our brand,
Right,
that we
right.
are our brand, you are the product,
Right.
And so that's how Reggie, the path that it led us on was that me and Reggie wound up crossing, and thanks to Michael Berryman. Some of them are the straightforward rules are kind of hard to take. Like number one rule is people are stupid.
Okay.
Just like-
In general?
In general. Yeah, they do things like, I know because I do stupid things. Like I'll go up to the cashier and I'll say, how much is this thing? And they'll point to the sign that's standing right in front of me, going, oh, it's $1. Oh, sorry, And and if you have any question about how stupid people can be, just watch the the Jackass movies. It's
I
like,
did watch those.
Yep.
Sometimes
So-
people are just not observant. So that's what I try to attribute it to. Just people just don't notice everything or everyone
Like
around
they're
them.
not
Right.
paying attention.
Right.
They're so
Right.
so caught up in their moment. that
Exactly.
they
Yeah.
can't look at everybody else.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've tried to make it an endeavor to be more 360, as I
Well,
say.
good for you.
So, let's see. So at one point you had a wonderful band.
Right.
And what was the name of the band?
It's called Chatter
Chatter.
because I talk a lot. So it's on one of my moves from leaving California, moving back to Michigan, and then I went to New York. And I stayed with family that I never really knew since I was a kid. And my cousin just happened to be the bass player in Public Enemy.
Wow,
And
cool.
so he saw me, and by then I had platinum blonde hair.
Yeah.
And he said, well, you ever thought about singing? I go, listen, I can tap dance, but I'm not a good, but I'm not a good singer. And he said, just do you, like you told me to do. And I'm a great storyteller. So he would write the music, and I would think of a story to go along with the music. And we had a pretty good following, you know. Even Rai Television from Italy wanted to, you know, take us
Wow,
over
that's
to,
very cool.
yeah.
Wow.
And we would get little bars at night, and it was quite amazing to see people come back over and over again, you know. And the newspaper touted us as best up-and-coming band in New York City. Gloria's a cross between Grace Jones and Bette Midler. I mean, you can't get any better than
I
that.
can see that. I can see that. I can see that. Now you had on in Bare Essence in 1982 with Warner Brothers. You appeared with Bruce Boxleitner, Linda Evans, Donna Mills, and Jonathan Frakes. Now, where he actually met his wife on that set, Jeannie Francis. Now, tell us about that. Do you remember that?
Okay,
Bare
so
Essence?
let me set the record straight.
Please set the record straight.
I was not in that movie.
Oh.
We have a movie like that.
Okay,
Boy.
I was a certain year of high school, but it appeared on IMDb.
IMDb?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just left it there, right?
Sometimes they don't get it right,
Right.
you know.
He was credited with Stormship Troopers.
I love that show. You were in that show?
No. Are you kidding me?
That's a nice show.
And the fact is that he didn't have nothing to do with it. I did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they
I was in Starship Troopers.
cross-referenced you
I
guys.
was a regular background. You know, I was a recurring background, and they got ticked off. It's something to do with getting ticked off with the guy that made all the spider, those little spider things that came out. And so they wanted to cut out every scene that had any of his work in it. And I was in every one of them. So they cut me out. They shot it at the Pyramid in Long Beach, and like that. And he was in Aurora, Illinois, finishing up his album.
Nowhere near the set.
Nowhere near.
Nowhere. No.
But his name still pops up all the time for Starship Troopers. Go figure.
I love that movie because it's a good bad guy, and the bad guy were the alien spiders and insects.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, they had no mercy. You couldn't reason with them, and there's no dialogue at the end. Let me tell you why I'm going to kill you. They just
did it.
We're
Exactly.
going to do it.
Kind of like a shark.
Right.
Yeah.
What sparks your passion these days?
Well, right now I live in San Diego, and I've been a stay-at-home mom for a few years. I tried to continue acting, but when my husband's job moved to San Diego, I was traveling back and forth that first year,
Oh, it's
like
rough.
3 or 4 times a week doing auditions. And it scared me because I just felt like my son wouldn't have anybody to protect him if I got into a car accident on the road from LA.
Yeah.
So I decided I'm going to do this for the family. I'm going to
Take a hiatus.
take a hiatus, and I'm like the best mom volunteer ever.
Aw.
I mean, I got volunteer of the year, started with 2 volunteers of the month, and I've got on a PTA board.
Wow.
And I got this little coin chip that they only give certain volunteers. And it really meant a lot to my son, too. And also, I was kind of spying on him, so.
As we do. as
Right,
moms.
right.
Yeah,
You get more
yeah.
perks, at the school when you volunteer a lot.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's my passion. He has really been a wonderful son. He just had his bar mitzvah last year.
Aw.
And I threw the best party ever. I threw him a Spartan party.
Ah.
I hired actors from LA, stunt actors, to come down and do stunt fighting, and, belly
That's
dances
funny.
to be sirens.
Belly
Yes.
dancers, all right.
And he's my passion. And I have about 1,600 more days until he's out of high school.
And counting.
Counting the days.
I know.
Now, how did your audition come about with Don Coscarelli?
Well, I think I said it before in another interview. I was broke. I was about to pack up my apartment and go back to Michigan. And my agent called me and said, Gloria, you know, this is audition. And I said, even if I get it, how am I going to stay? I have no money. He said, just go. And I went. Then I went to the callback. Then I went to the third callback. Then I went to the fourth callback.
Wow.
Oh, man.
And I think you were on the fifth one or the sixth
Yeah,
one. And
yeah.
I go, okay. And then I realized when I saw you, I said, he looks so familiar. And you were behind the camera.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, okay, you know. And after the sixth audition, and they told me I had it.
Wow.
But then I had to figure out how the hell I'm going to afford to stay here.
Oh, man.
You know, because filming was a month away.
Uh-huh.
And my friend said, you can get unemployment now. You worked enough. So I got unemployment. I could
There
pay
you
my
go.
rent.
There you go.
You know, and I ate a lot of less food. And then I started filming. And
Well, that
it
was
great.
sort of how you did it back in the day. I mean, you worked on a film.
Right.
As soon as you got your pink slip for, okay, you're wrapped on this film, you took it right over to EDD,
Yeah.
and you signed up for unemployment.
Right,
And
right.
then when the next part would come in, you stop unemployment, and you go and
Exactly.
you know
exactly.
just repeat, rinse and repeat.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
And it was great.
Yeah.
I felt like a working actor.
Mhm.
You know. I
But
mean,
you were a working.
well, you
actor.
know, it's like people didn't appreciate it.
Uh-huh.
When I did a lot of background work in Hollywood
Mm-hmm.
to get started, because even from my theater background, I figured I didn't know anything about film. So I did extra work. Then I moved my way up. I used to watch the crew,
Mm-hmm.
and then I used to talk to the lighting guy
Mm-hmm.
and the sound guy. You know, make friends with those guys, and the key grip.
Yep.
And I realized that there was a position open for stand-in,
Ah.
and they made more money. You could be part of the crew.
Yes.
And then I started doing that. Then I started doing stunt doubling for some of the actors. Photo doubling, then stunt doubling. And it just...
Progressed.
It progressed. And I really enjoyed doing that. So, yeah.
So you got to learn a little bit about everything, about how to make a movie.
And that's how you do it. You just can't...
Sure.
Well, nowadays you can just have sex on a video and become a star. But,
Tell me.
you know, but...
Whether you
have
want to
learn
or
your
not.
craft,
Yeah.
right?
So tell us something about your character, Roxanne Beret, or Rocky, that nobody knows.
Well, I think my inner monologue that nobody really knew was that when I met you and you had that CUDA,
Yeah.
I said, that's a nice car.
Oh, yeah.
That's a nice car.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, if I just stay in the moment and say, if I ever get the opportunity, I'm going to jack his
I'm
car.
going to take that car. Everybody wants the car.
Right,
Everybody
you
wants to
know?
get the CUDA.
So I kept that going, and then you kept making these passes at me, and I kept shutting you down. And I said, if he makes one more pass at me, and if he crosses the line, I'm taking that CUDA. You know? But you grew on me, and then I let my character become more involved with everybody.
Yeah.
And I think I really only smiled at the end when I said, keep your balls in the air, Reg.
Yeah.
You know, because I started to like him.
Which he uses
Yeah.
that in autographing a lot.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Keep your pockets full of keep your balls in the air and your
Keep your
pockets
balls
full
in
of
your
shells.
Pockets
See?
full of shells. Yeah.
Okay, there you
Yeah.
go. I really didn't know what that meant, to tell you, at the
Yeah.
time. You know, maybe should I ask Reggie what that means? I'm just going to say the line different ways. And I, now, like later, I realized what it meant. But I thought it was a sexual joke.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that was the kind of twisty part of
Right,
it.
right,
It really made the line work.
Exactly.
You know? That's funny.
Is Rocky's strength a persona or just another facet of your own personality?
It's a facet of my personality. I think it would have to be for me in order to get the part. And sexually, Rocky is just off the chain. But she doesn't have to show it. And I think that side of me at auditions a lot, because I used to be video vixens, you know, and like I said, the hookers and the hoes. She really had a sexual strength about her, and she didn't have to go, you
Right.
know,
Yeah,
Here
yeah.
I am.
yeah, here I am, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
because everybody wanted Rocky anyway, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
They
you
like
know,
the
Don
chocolate.
Don wrote the character that way.
Okay.
You know.
Right.
And so when you did that, I know he went, her.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
So how did you feel about when you read the script for the Phantasm 5 and you see the whole thing about that Rocky and Chunk get together?
Hey, listen, I don't discriminate. Okay, he was very funny. Of course, it was shocking because I've never ever, been in that relationship before.
Yeah.
But I always try to find something about my leading man or the
I
person
did,
I'm
by the
working
way.
to.
Sure.
I had two little people in my life.
Okay, I never had, and I always try to find something about someone that I'm sexually drawn to, and it helps me get through the scene.
He's a brilliant young man. I mean,
He
he's
was
just
very intelligent.
Yeah.
But he told a couple dirty jokes, and I kind of liked that. It was very subtle. I was like, okay. And he was the right height. I was like, okay, you're the right height. Your height is good. Okay.
That's so funny.
And with
That's
you, it's so funny. You were so quiet and focused, and you were like this like still water. And I think I was attracted to that. Even knowing that you were trying to get in my pants the whole movie. I like that about you. And I fell in love with that on the set.
Oh, that's great.
What was the hardest day on either of the Phantasms you were in?
The hardest day?
Whatever your interpretation of that.
It's hard. I know it's kind of hard to figure out because they were all hard days.
They were all hard days.
Yeah.
I mean, out there till,
2,
way
3
beyond.
o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Either freezing or burning up.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Or your trailer's exhaust is backing up into the...
Oh, God.
That's the worst.
Or that time it was like 10 of us in the trailer because it was so cold outside and nobody else's heater was working.
Yeah. Wow.
I think, now that I think about it, the hardest day was in the mausoleum because I have a great sense of smell.
Mm-hmm.
And that slight smell of death
Decomp, yeah.
was very jarring.
Mm-hmm.
And any actor that doesn't use that,
Right.
is crazy because how are you going to pretend that's not there? Like there are dead people
Right.
all around you.
Yeah.
I think that was a hard day.
Yeah. I can see
I
that.
kind of got used to that because I got a job at Sunnyside Mausoleum and Cemetery in
Oh,
Long
my.
Beach. Yeah. Beautiful mausoleum. I mean, it had been put there in like, I don't know, 2000,
No,
or
it's
no,
the
no,
20s,
1906
yeah.
or something like that. I mean, there was a cornerstone that had the day. It was the 20s, I think.
Yeah.
And it was just gorgeous. And I worked in the flower shop.
Okay.
I delivered flowers,
Oh.
which meant that I delivered them to funerals. I delivered them, I placed them in the mausoleum, on the crypts and at the grave sites. And I got, and also, I used to visit where they actually did the bodies. So I got with the morticians.
Got an education.
Got a real education, yeah. And then I was able to get that as a location for Phantasm.
Oh, it worked out. Okay.
Yeah, it worked out great. And then when we used the mausoleum in Compton, which I forget the name of. Do you remember?
Angelus Abbey.
Angelus Abbey, yeah.
Oh, good
That was
memory.
another beautiful mausoleum in Compton. And I knew those people over there, so when Don he wanted to change or he wanted to get after we left Sunnyside or whatever,
Right.
I had Angelus Abbey that I could go to.
Well,
So
thank you
it was
for
pretty
that.
cool. Pretty cool.
Much appreciated.
Yeah.
If
I
you
agree.
had any advice to the next generation of female movie makers, what would it be?
Pay them what they're worth. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pay them what they're worth.
Are there any other scenes or directions that you would have liked to have seen any of the characters taken in Phantasm?
And mine,
Yeah.
maybe a make-out scene with Angus would have been good.
Oh, that would have been hot. That would have been hot. Wow.
No, he would have said, "Woman." But you just hear the voiceover, echoing through the mausoleum, right? The tall man getting some. But, hey.
Yeah, that would have been great. Wow. Did you mention that to Don?
No, I'm a little bit afraid, to mention big changes like that.
And have you ever had any that same sense of camaraderie on any other project besides Phantasm?
Actually, no. I find working with other women on sets is difficult if they think you're a threat. Mm-hmm. My opinion is, if I don't look like you, right? If I don't look like you, if I don't sound like you, then they're either going to want me or they're going to want you. Mm-hmm. But I found over the years that even the biggest stars are threatened by the smallest people.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
When I used to live in New York and I used to do background work there, some of the stars that had blonde hair didn't want other women in the scene that were blonde.
Yes.
They would allow me to be in the scene and I was blonde because I was black and blonde. They're insecure about that. Mm-hmm. Or when I worked on, I guess I can say this, Sex in the City. Mm-hmm. And I had the whole opening scene, if you remember that, with the bus coming by and it splashes on her.
Yeah.
Well, honey, I was fabulous that day. And it was kind of chilly. And we did like 7 or 8 takes.
Oh, wow.
But then the makeup guy was doing Sarah Jessica's makeup. Mm-hmm. And he looked over at me and said, "Sarah, isn't she beautiful?"
And you were gone.
And it was the kiss of death.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, right before they said action, the AD came over to me and said, "Why don't you hold for 6 seconds?" Mm-hmm. And then if you see the scene, all you see is the back of my head.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just went, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anytime someone draws attention to the way I look, it's horrible.
I had a similar thing with there was a movie called Liberty. It was about the dedication of the Statue of Liberty. Mm-hmm. It was a period piece, and we were shooting it on Fells Point out in Baltimore, which is like colder than hell. And it's supposed to be a spring movie, know. And Carrie Fisher was the lead in that, and it had George Kennedy and it had a bunch of other names, but Carrie was the big hoopla on that one. And the makeup or the hairdresser kept running in and complaining because they would take my hair and they'd put it in the ringlets and of the period,
Right.
And so the makeup artist kept coming in and complaining because it's like, we cannot have her hair look better than Miss Fisher's.
Okay.
And it became a thing on the set,
right.
And they were literally starving us. They wouldn't allow the background to have coffee to stay warm. They wouldn't allow us, their idea of a meal, I was a vegetarian by that time, their idea of a meal was literally a piece of chicken, fried chicken, between 2 pieces of bread. That was the meal. And but I happened to be friends with some of the Teamsters, and because I was IATSE makeup at the time, and they were like, "No, this is not happening." And then I actually went hypothermic on that shoot.
Oh, my.
But there was a point at which when Carrie, we had the porta potties and everything, and she didn't want to wait. Or there was something wrong with her trailer. I forgot how it went, but something went wrong with her trailer, and she had no compunction about, hey, I'm just going to go to use the porta potty. It's over there. I got to pee. I'm going.
Right.
And because we had layers and layers of costuming to get through, so she went over there. We're standing in line for the porta potty, and she looks over at me and she goes, "Oh, you're a Gigi."
Okay.
And I went, "Yes, Miss Fisher."
She recognized.
She goes, "Oh no, it's Carrie." She goes, "Yeah." I said, "How do I know you?" And she goes, No. They were telling me about how beautiful your hair is, and I went, "Yes. Apparently, I can't be in the same scene as you because my hair, they don't want anybody's hair who looks better than yours." She goes, "Girl," she goes, "That's ridiculous." And next thing you know, I'm being moved from. I thought they were dismissing me or something. And next thing you know, there was this big crowd scene. And I'm being moved from my position, which was like in the center of the bleachers that they had put up, all the way down to first row to the camera left, so that I was right next to her behind the scene. I was like, oh, okay.
That
Thanks,
tells you
Miss
a
Fisher.
lot about Carrie Fisher.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Well, and
yeah.
then I ran
Yeah.
into her mother after I had moved out here. I ran into her mother, and Debbie
Reynolds.
and at someplace like Trader Joe's or someplace. And she goes, oh yeah, she goes, I remember your story, because she used to tell me about that story all the time. And she says, it was hilarious. And she says, isn't it ridiculous?
But we remember those things, because
yeah.
it happened at a time in our lives where you think, really?
Yeah.
There's so many
Yeah.
other bigger problems in the world, and
You're worried about my hair?
you're worried about my
Yeah,
hair,
yeah,
and I look too pretty when you are the star.
Yeah.
And you have like $500 Manolo Blanc shoes on. Okay.
I was lucky if I had a $50 pair of Ninas.
Right?
Okay.
Exactly.
So,
You're funny.
listen, Gloria, thank you so much for being with us
My
and being
pleasure.
a really important part of this special moment with the women of Phantasm.
Well, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. I really
You're
enjoyed
awesome.
my time, and I'm so glad they got to see you again.
Oh, I know. It's
you
been
know,
so much fun.
I know.
We have to get together again.
Yes.
That's okay. I do like vanilla, by the way.
Oh, hello.
Hey.
Okay. I like all 31 flavors.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Even with the nuts.
Okay.
Okay.